All right, howdy. Welcome back to Windley Mania, the greatest podcast you never heard of, brought to you by the greatest band that you have never heard of. That band being Windley. You have to follow at Windley_band on all the stuff to keep up with the world of Windley, of course. I am the best in the world, Andrew Reidner, and with me, as always, man's best friend, Devin Hopkins. Devin. That's very nice. That's very nice of you. Yeah, we're back. We're back. It's, I was just saying we haven't recorded since November, but to the listeners' ear, it's only been a week.
We always get really ambitious when we do this, and then just life happens. And
well, as
snow and whatnot, snow in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, that'll date when we recorded this.
The November one's already fucking dated as fuck.
Yeah,
it's probably gonna be August when this shit comes out. trying to. Once you see the lineup of guests when this is all done and said, you'll be like, oh, okay, I understand. I guess.
Should we predict what's happening in the week that this comes out?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
absolutely not.
Just not even put any thoughts out there, just in case.
Nope. No, nothing. Nope. It's not even fine.
We don't want to be. The Simpsons predicted this.
Yeah. Oof. But Devin, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
You look like you just got off from working the docks.
I was.
Yeah.
I was out on the docks.
Is that your new job? You got a new job again.
Yeah, I got another new job. Yeah. No, I was not at the docks, but I do have to be outside.
You look like you work for Nick Sabatka. Yeah.
Enlighten me.
The Wire season 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
I sell drugs.
You just no.
Oh, that's all I know about the Wire.
Nick Sabatka. He's a good guy, but they open up that can. And there's all those trafficked women. It looks like that was your morning. That you opened up a big storage can and there was like 40 trafficked women like in there.
Did you see?
Passed out.
Did you watch Tires, the Shane Gillis show? They're like trying.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I was like, eh.
There was a scene where he was like, they had a bunch of people there to do the bikini car wash thing, and then like someone higher up came like, all right, we gotta hide these chicks. He's like, all right, get in the storage container. And then someone saw him, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, trying to get these girls to go into a storage container. It's a lot harder than it sounds.
Yeah. Well, we are not alone in the storage unit today. We are joined by a person who's played in. Well, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. It's one band, but two different...
switched drummers, and that's basically...
Oh, it's just the drummers?
And styles of music.
Okay.
We were still pop punk.
One band that, when, they kind of disappeared by the time I got, and Devin and I got involved with the Myrtle Beach scene when we were young lads, and I've always heard these two names over and over again. And over and over again, and over and over again. Just people really like them, and we're with one of the members, Bradley Benson. Any relation to George?
I don't. No, I wish. No? I wish. Do I wish?
I mean, he's George Benson.
No, who's that?
No. He's a guitar player, famous.
Oh yeah. I wish I was related.
That'd be cool. Uncle George.
Yeah.
Aunt George.
Just call him Unc.
Yeah,
keeping the sounds, you know.
Yeah. How you doing?
I am pretty fantastic, man. I'm a little tired, but good. I'm good.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. So, again, those two bands I was referring to was Hey Dude and Old News.
Old News, yes.
But before all that, are you from here? Where are you from?
I'm from Conway. I was born and raised in Conway,
so Myrtle Beach. But.
Myrtle Beach area.
Okay.
Horry County.
I'm a local.
So, yeah.
Horry County.
When was around the time you got involved with playing music and wanting to play music and stuff?
Shoot, I mean, I started going to shows when I was really young and just seeing dudes play music and make people jump off stage and like punch each other. I wasn't exposed to that, and whenever I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So I had a drive for a couple of years, but 2007 maybe is when I technically started playing shows. I think.
Okay.
I think it was 2007.
Yeah. What was the landscape like when you first got into it before you started playing in a band?
So it was all hardcore bands, all heavy bands.
Yeah.
Like when I first started going to the shows, there was a couple bands that were like hardcore adjacent, but they had like some pop punk elements to it, like the 100th.
Yeah.
And that was the shit I fucked with. That was the stuff that I wanted to sound like. But we kind of came out when it wasn't as cool. So like it was a little rough for us to kind of, honestly, when we started. And then like all the people that I like went to shows with, they're like younger brothers and stuff, started getting into the scene, and then they started liking our band. So then we became, as successful as one could be.
Yeah.
I guess, from a pop punk band in Myrtle Beach's perspective.
Yeah. Was that your first band? Or?
Yeah, that was pretty much the first band. I've had a couple like projects, and I played guitar with some friends in bands before, but like that's the only real solid like band that like I put all my energy into. Me and a few other dudes. Obviously, you know Jake pretty well.
Right,
there.
right.
A couple of our buddies. But I mean, I would say it was literally I could not get past the concept of not being in a band with like literally my best friends, even if they weren't like great at their instruments. Like we would just suck until my friends got better at their instruments, and that's kind of how we got to Old News. Like, Hey Dude just kind of was like, it was fun, but it wasn't good. For the most part, it was fun, but I knew we could sound better, and we just changed our sound a little bit and got a new drummer.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it.
What was was there like a long gap between those bands? Was there?
No, it was instantaneous.
Okay.
Our drummer Eric, he was all through Hey Dude. He was having a kid, so he couldn't really like put the energy toward it anymore. We had a show lined up in Charleston with the Punches, they were a fairly decent sized band at the time, and I fucking loved them. To this day, I still haven't seen that band perform live, and we were this close to playing with them.
Damn.
And he was like, "Yeah, I can't play the show, bro. I gotta, be with my girl." So he more or less, he kind of taught our new drummer all the songs that our drummer, the new drummer, already kind of knew the shit anyway because he was a fan of the band. So it was kind of seamless, honestly. And then there was a little drama, obviously, because he couldn't do, but he's still one of my best friends. Both guys are great. Yeah. So it was like no gap really.
Gotcha.
We literally just changed our name and like continued to play Hey Dude songs for like a couple shows and then release some new songs.
Nice.
So, what was the year for you going to shows? First time, 2003, you said?
Well, I was in high school, so 10th grade maybe, like 2003. I'm dating myself, 37. Yeah, 2003, 4-ish, somewhere in that.
So, I mean, what kind of bands were you seeing, or what?
Oh wow! So it was all hardcore, pretty much. It was all heavy bands. The Limelight. Truly, you hear about the Limelight a lot. And I think I went to that venue twice. I just went with friends. It was just ignorant hardcore bands, which was weird because like when I think about that place now, I think of more like indie and like more like emo stuff was there, and like I don't know. Really, when I started really going to shows and like trying to go every fucking weekend was like the social days, and that became Planet Rock. And there was a small place called Monkey Business, which was super cool. This was all probably like 2004 to 2006 ish, and then Conway, the Peanut Warehouse, they would randomly like one show every couple years.
There
was a legendary one in like 2004.
I want the Peanut Warehouse so bad.
We tried to get it for that one show we did in 2020.
Our first show ever was at the Peanut Warehouse.
Okay, tell me about that.
I think Jake booked it for the most part. At Half Mast played. Vera played. You guys remember Vera, the pop punk?
I've heard so much about them.
Yeah, I've heard.
Just like
they were on Epitaph Records at one point.
That's crazy.
They were awesome.
They were from Georgia.
They were from Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And they were a pretty successful band for pop punk. I mean, I think that has kind of a threshold, and they like hit it. They bumped it.
I think like there's like the level you can get is like if they're opening for cool bands, that's like a success level that you can consider a peak.
And they've got like dudes from A Day to Remember recording their music and putting them on and stuff.
They're like in the zeitgeist of all the cool bands.
They were.
They might not be like.
They should have been a little bit bigger, I think. But like that, our first show ever was with like a very reputable Myrtle Beach band, so it brought a lot of people out. But we were not good. It was fun. It was an easy core. Like we just wanted to sound like 4 Year Strong, but like we weren't doing that like the chugs that were matching up with the bass drum very well.
I was like, never in a band that did that.
It could have been tighter, but like I mean I remember Eric came in. He had like 2 physical bass drums he set up. Awesome. It was a huge kit, like 40-piece kit. I had like a crate solid state amp. It was fucking loud and squealy, and to be honest, I used that amp for a long time. I just started like putting like pedals in front of it to try to like not have to rely on the actual amp, I guess. Yeah,
I've always wanted one. What was they had like a really small head,
Power
right?
block?
Yeah, the power block.
Yeah.
I always wanted the power block.
I tried one because when I worked at Guitar Center, we got 2 in at the same time, used ones, and I tried one out. This thing sounds pretty cool.
That was what I wanted.
It was about this size, like the size of the amps that I
How
use.
long ago was that though? Was that like recently-ish, 10 years ago?
I was like in high school because like we would always, because we played in a band in high school and we were always looking for the cheapest shit possible.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty much all Hey Dude and Old News was just like getting by on the cheapest
and
shit.
the power block was definitely a
it was, very portable, and it was powerful, and you could get decent tones out of it, and you could, if you put like a cheap pedal in front of it, there you go.
and I've had that $100 cabinet for a decade now, and I still use it.
I played out of
fun.
a Jackson cab. What? Like
I
I don't
didn't
know if
know
I
they
just
made
like
it.
wired
It's weird.
something and like somebody put a Jackson plate on it or what, but it was my uncle's, and my uncle, I kind of trust him. I
Yeah.
don't know how. Like I've never heard of a Jackson cab.
No,
But
no.
I had one. I had one for pretty much.
You
the
remember what
entire-
speakers were in there? No, Jackson
was-
speakers.
They're Jackson
Duh.
speakers.
Yeah, I think it might have been Jackson branded speakers.
Interesting.
I remember we opened your cab to see what speakers were in there, and they were
Yeah,
just,
and it was weird because there's 4 Celestion V30s in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
it was
crazy.
really weird when I opened up that $100 cabinet I've had for a decade, and there's
they
3
came stock fully loaded.
Celestion V30s. Yeah,
Bro, I never had good gear, like ever. I think that's ultimately why we fizzled out, is because like we didn't want to take that step. We had been kind of dicking around as a band for like 7-8 years, and we had maybe 20 songs. We didn't have a lot of material like for what I think a band should have. But we played a lot of shows.
Yeah.
A shitload of shows.
I think that's, as long as y'all were doing what you wanted and having fun, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, that was kind of. It sounds corny, but that's literally what we were doing. Was
Yeah.
just trying to have fun.
well, before we get into all that, I mean, how were you informed of going to shows? How did you hear about it?
So,
first time?
okay, so weirdly, I dated this girl in high school. She was awesome. We just didn't work out. We just were on different paths, whatever. She was really nice, but she was a Christian girl. And she took me to a church in North Myrtle Beach where there was like a lot of alternative kids. And a few of my friends, one of my friends from high school, his name was Micah. His cousin is actually Josh James from Casey Jones and Stick to Your Guns.
Oh, shit, okay.
I mean, and I always thought he was cool. He taught me about all this music. Anyway, he was at this church, and all these people that I thought were cool were at the church. Zach Elvington, I don't know if y'all know him, but he was there.
I don't think I know him.
It was, a lot of old heads at this point, but I don't know. I just started going to shows with him.
Was he just like, hey, you want to see something cool?
Yeah, basically
Yeah,
he was.
yeah.
He was like, I was trying to like show him my punk music. I was into like NoFX and like
Yeah.
the Casualties and like shit. Like I didn't do my hair like that, but I wanted to. But I lived in fucking Greensea, so Greensea Floyd. So my mom was like, "No, you can't do that because you'd stick out and blah blah blah." Anyway, we went to a show at the Limelight, and it was ridiculous. And then I went to one maybe 3 or 4 months later with them, and I'd never seen like hardcore dancing or moshing or anything like that.
Yeah.
And of course I thought it was the stupidest shit ever when I first saw it. And I was like, oh, real mosh pits, or if I would have decked that motherfucker.
And now you stage dive during Turno Forte.
Yeah, that's fine. But sure enough, one of the first like real hardcore shows I ever got into, or I ever went to, I almost got fucked up because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anybody there. I don't know if you all know Peyton Harris. He's a big dude. He's fucking awesome. He's such a nice guy. But he moshes fucking hard. And I was a stranger, and I got kicked. And I was like, what the fuck? And then Shane ran over there, and he was like, y'all know Shane, obviously. He ran over there, and he was like, oh, chill out, this guy. I don't know what he said, but after that, I felt pretty safe. I was like, okay, these people are looking out for me. I'm not, everybody knows that I'm not trying to. There was probably maybe 50 people there. I can't even remember what fucking bands were playing, but I remember that was the first time I almost got my ass kicked. I think it was the last time, maybe, too.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty
last time.
passive guy. This is the last time I almost got my ass kicked.
Well,
20 years ago. Yeah.
That's
That's
good.
good. Yeah, that's a good.
That's a good
track record.
streak.
But
Yeah.
dude, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you heard about Shows Were Wild. Shows Were Wild.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just like me being a literal child, and being like, holy shit, this is crazy. But it was fucking crazy.
I've heard similar stories from like all the same venues that you've talked about already, like Limelight and Social and Monkey Business. There was
Monkey
always
Business was literally as like maybe the 2 times this size. It's where Purple Haze is now on Seaboard.
oh shit.
That you would walk through the shop there and go into the back.
Because I know that,
I
the
saw some
Lazy
crazy
Eye was
bands
also
there.
tiny. Because when Michael Wood was on here, he was talking about how small that was, and he basically said, "Yeah, it was about as big as the storage unit." And Against Me played there, and I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome."
The Lazy Eye was like slightly before my
Yeah.
time, I think. But I heard like a bunch of bands like Dashboard played there. I don't know how true that is, but like I've always heard like some pretty iconic bands that
Yeah,
played there.
it's wild. Like, and Seaboard Street is still part of it because Arcadia is there now. So it's
I mean,
interesting.
the Limelight was right. It was over like where Grissom Parkway is.
It's like
it was like right there.
It's an H&R Block now or something, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
it's
in that-
right there
one
where
of
that
those
like
new
meat
plazas.
market is or whatever,
Yeah.
this hookah bar and stuff. But
Wrong one.
Monkey Business was wild. That was like 2006 because I remember graduating high school like in that summer, and my friend Dana, who's no longer with us, rest in peace. We went to like 5 shows there, like back to back like nights, pretty much. We saw like bands like Comadre. I don't know if you know that band. They're like a screamo band, like Scrams or Real Screamo, DC. I don't know
shit.
fucking where they're. But
Okay.
anyway, Circle Takes a Square.
I think I've heard of them.
They're like on that like upper tier. More people would know about them. But there was an iteration of the Misfits that played there. I remember it was
Oh,
weird.
wow.
There was like an injection of like punk kids for like a week whenever the Misfits. And I don't know what iteration it was. I don't think it was like. It clearly wasn't Danzig, and I don't think it was Michael Graves.
Could have been because Jerry only sang for them for.
I
a
think
bit.
it was maybe the Jerry only iteration.
Yeah. And it was probably like because at one point they got like they were just doing that consistently, and Des Cadena was with them too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some cool fucking venues. But then the one consistent venue that I haven't not mentioned yet that's been there through it all is Fresh Brewed.
Yeah.
They were there back then. They, I remember they used to have a strict like no cursing policy, but they would like let
heard of
bands
that.
mosh there. And I heard that Set Your Goals played there, and I'm pretty confident I was at that show, but I don't remember like physically being there. It was like I don't know.
The Matches played there.
The matches were cool.
Yeah, I've seen video
I
of
never
that.
saw them.
King's
but
X
I do
played
like that.
there.
Yeah, King's X, they still got the flyer
The
in the
flyer of
bathroom.
King's X is in there, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Those are the two that come to mind first. For like bigger bands that have played.
There's a
there.
flyer with the girl with just doing this. I can't think of what her name is, but it's in one of the
Sure.
bathrooms there.
Yeah.
Never
sure.
mind. But yeah, I mean, Fresh Brew was consistently they've always been there. They've always been like, they've always done shows. They've always put on good shows. Sometimes the sound has gotten better over the years.
Sometimes we try to rent out a sound system when we can just in case, but it doesn't sound too bad in there ever really.
Right. I'm so glad they're still around. They're a cool
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Shout out to Fresh.
So during all this time, I mean, when you obviously wanted to get involved somehow, playing music. I mean, how did you start playing in a band?
So I don't know. One night, so me and Jake were internet friends, and Adam, who played bass for us, he was really good friends with. That's like his best friend. They still like collab together. He makes a lot of music for. I don't know if I should say his name, but his name's Adam. He's awesome. He's a lovely boy. But anyway, Jake knew Adam. Basically, one night, I like invited Jake over to my dad's house. I was like 18 when I was living with him, and then we literally drank screwdrivers, just like vodka and like Burnett's and orange juice all night. And we hung out and talked, and we realized that we had a lot of commonalities. So we just introduced each other to each other's friends, and then eventually we just started trying to play music together. Like I said, we were none of us were really good at the instruments whenever we first started. We just wanted to do something.
We're still not.
And
But we're
grow
doing
with it.
anyway.
You guys have always been tight every time I've heard you play. But we like you could like, and we had bad gear too, so it was like on top of bad gear and like kind of sloppy timing. Like our drummer was a better guitar player than me or the other guitar player, so it was like, but he was the only one that could really keep a beat. So that's kind of how we started. Yeah, man, we just.
He got demoted immediately. Sorry, you're playing drums.
So that band was Hey Dude, right?
Yeah.
Hey Dude. Yeah. What is the name from the Nickelodeon show?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I
100%,
thought.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, what are your opinions on the Hey Dude Nickelodeon show? You a big fan?
Well,
was it your idea?
Maybe, I don't know. I think we were just trying to come up with something that was nostalgic that people would also be like, "Hey, is that the Nickelodeon show?" And it was like better than like we couldn't be called like Rugrats or like Wild and Crazy Kids or something.
Hey
So
Arnold.
we went fucking Hey Dude, I guess. Yeah, it was. We had
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
we had a song called Legends of the Hidden.
Oh, you
Temple.
had a song called
We
that.
did,
Okay.
we did, and it was also carrying the Nickelodeon theme.
I was gonna say,
guess.
did you have an album called Nickelodeon?
How about just Mark Summers?
Mark Summers.
Summers. Summer Sanders.
Yeah.
You can figure me
Yeah.
out. And then that little brain thing rolls the fuck. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why. Really, honestly.
I mean, yeah,
it was a cool
band
name at
name
the
is-
time. Obviously, all the weird stuff and the Nickelodeon and all that hadn't
Yeah.
been exposed. So
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. It didn't age well. Maybe it did age well. I don't fucking know.
I feel like that. I mean, that was early '90s.
right.
I think
I
that
didn't
was
even watch that show that
before.
much. It was cool, but like,
It's fine.
Yeah.
That was before Schneider got there, I think.
okay.
So I think
we're
you
all
might be
clear
in the
of that at
clear.
least,
You
yeah.
might be good.
Yeah,
You might be good for a reunion.
Yeah. Yeah. Just-
You don't have to change the name again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know really why we decided on that, but we did the typical thing where we made a MySpace and had like pictures with no music for like 6 months.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
classic.
Let me
Yeah.
ask about that era of bands doing that, because I hear that sometimes, like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I was in a band, but we didn't do anything. We just had the MySpace bit. You
There's
know,
so many
it
bands.
was a lot of it. Yeah,
There was a lot of really cool bands, and there was a lot of bands that weren't that good. We were probably like, maybe I'm being nice because I was in the band, but we were like right there in the middle. You know, like we weren't the best talented band, but we had fun, and people would jump around at our shows and stuff, and it was cool.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of bands around that time. I mean, there were some bands that were like more or less projects, and then there were like full like 4 or 5, 6-piece bands. You know, a lot of hardcore bands. There was like a post-hardcore band. There were a couple pop punk bands.
Are
That
you
was
talking
kinda-
about Myrtle Beach?
Yeah. I was just talking about like right at that era,
Yeah,
like around that time.
Yeah. What bands were around?
Well,
when you
hardcore
guys-
was kind of fading out whenever we started. I would say, bands that come to mind. Wonder Shakedown. They played the
They
show.
played that reunion.
Yeah,
show.
they were a band.
good.
And
They
I
were
don't recall
solid.
them playing a ton of songs, but every time they played, they were really tight. Let's see, around that time. So I don't. Do y'all know like Randall and Joey Griggs and you know Joey Mercier, obviously.
Yeah.
They were like a group of friends. I mean, they were my friends too. They had a couple iterations of bands that were all really heavy bands that were fun. Let's see, what other bands were? I guess there weren't really a ton of popular bands when we were Hey Dude. It was kind of just us, and then like friends that would just like change out on drums and instruments and just play like Kids Like Us covers. And
We don't give a fuck.
that was really the one that
Every
that
band
played.
did that. We did that.
Yeah, it's a cool song.
Not Windley.
Not Winley.
Could you imagine?
That would be hilarious if we made Garrett sing that. We should bring it. We should bring it
Yeah,
back.
let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back.
Remember some of like the peak times of like when we became like a band that people actually like wanted to go see. This girl Olivia, she lived right down the road here. She would just do shows in her backyard, and like 100 people would show up.
I went to y'all's, because your Facebook page is still up, and like one of the first posts that comes up, hey, we're doing a show at Olivia's house.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
that.
like Broadside played out there at her house at one
What?
point.
yeah.
There was a couple bands that, you know, bigger bands, but it was mostly like I said, we would play, and then there was a combination of like 3 or 4 bands that were almost all the same people. Randall Grobner would play guitar. I don't know if y'all know him. He's a cool guy. He moshed super fucking hard. Cortland would jump on the microphone randomly.
Cortland Gwynn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Gwynn would be on bass occasionally. And it'd be like a rotation of like,
Their mom was my English teacher.
heck yeah, she's a saint.
Sixth
One
grade.
of the
She's a
best
sweet woman.
people I've
I didn't
ever
have
met.
her.
I don't know who you
At old, what grade was that?
6.
Middle school?
Yeah.
She's such a nice person.
I saw her like
Great family. I love those dudes.
I saw her years after I graduated. Like I was a valet attendant at a restaurant, and her husband came up. And I was like, "Are you Miss Gwen?" And she remembered me. I was like, I was probably a jerk in your class. I'm very sorry, but she remembered.
You know what?
awesome.
I had that really old lady, Miss
Tinker?
Millsaps.
Yeah, Miss Tinker. Miss
Tinker.
Millsaps
So
was
he
her
knows
sister.
this guy's
No,
over there.
and I didn't have Miss Tinker. I had the really old one. She's got to be dead now.
They got but
I-
Miss Tinker and Miss Millsaps, they were sisters. They
Well,
were fucking ancient.
I had the older one.
Well, Miss Millsaps was 7th grade.
So you guys went to Myrtle
Okay.
Beach
or 8th
then.
grade. Yeah,
Yeah,
Very cool.
she's got to be dead, man.
she's probably dead as shit, dude.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Sure. What?
Rip.
I mean, okay. So what? Do you remember your first show?
Yeah. The first show was the one with Vera at the warehouse at Half Mast.
The warehouse.
Yeah, it was called the Lower Warehouse in Conway. The Peanut Warehouse was the one that's still there.
Right.
There was one that got tore down a couple years ago.
Oh, so there was two warehouses at one point? Wow.
Two, and the Lower Warehouse was like the coveted one in my opinion because of a show that happened back in like 2004, a hardcore show, and it was just like absolute. By the end of the night, there was this like. I'm still not really clear if they were a joke band or not, but they were called Set the Nuggets Free, so I assumed they were a joke band.
That's awesome.
They were like a hard ass grind band, and it was just like if you don't listen to that shit, your brain can't rap it. It was just fucking shredding and chaos. A fire extinguisher got set off. Literally at the end of the night, there was like a debris pile in the middle. Like somebody ain't gonna be happy about this. And it was rafters, so people were jumping off the raft. It was
crazy.
It was the epitome of chaotic. But like in my head, it sticks out as like that legendary show at that venue. So like I thought it was cool to be able to play there because like one of the first crazy shows I ever saw was at that place. Our first show, it was okay. Like we played early in the day, and I think, like I said, I think Jake booked it, so he was kind of running it all day and like trying to figure things out. I think his mom actually ran the door, but I mean, it was fun. We had like 3 or 4 or 5 songs, so, not a lot of songs. The Legends of the Hidden Temple was the big one at the time because we had this stupid breakdown at the end. It wasn't like I said, the drum and the chugs were not really timed well. It was fun.
People still probably went nuts though.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Not at our first show.
Playing early in the day.
I think our second show. I want to say it was our second show ever. We played with the fucking Wonder Years at Lucky's Pub in Wilmington. I remember Jake's dad followed us up there in a Tahoe, and the trailer was detached, and Jake went to get something, and the fucking trailer like almost tilted over on him, and I think Soupy from the Wonder Years saved his life. He ran up there.
Oh man.
I remember, speaking of Soupy from the Wonder Years, not to name drop or anything, because this isn't a flex.
Your good friend,
anything.
Soupy from the Wonder Years.
We were on tour, and I do that because we were not playing shows. We were trying to find a show in Johnson City area, and somehow Jake got his phone number, and like we almost got on the show.
Oh my god!
And I think Jake might still have that number in his phone. But anyway, it's not a flex at all.
Just shoot him. Just shoot a random.
Hey, you remember me?
Just send him a hey or a WYD.
WYD LOL.
WYD
Go Birds.
LOL. Go Birds.
Fuck the Eagles. But yeah, anyway, that was our second show, and I swear
That's
to God,
crazy.
there was a recording of this. Okay, we played another show at Lucky's Pub 2 with some pop punk and / kind of hardcore-ish bands, and I don't know if it was that show or the Wonder Year show, but I'm praying it wasn't the Wonder Year show. They recorded our set. I didn't have distortion on the whole fucking. So my riff was like rain.
Jangly, like
it was jangly. Like I couldn't even tell
on your Jackson amp.
Yeah, it was. No, I borrowed somebody else's amp that night, and I remember someone yelling from the crowd, "You guys suck!" And I was like, "Oh, why this show?" But yeah, that was a cool time. It was fun.
That's wild.
We got better though. We just weren't really good at. We just hadn't practiced enough, really. But yeah, I got to mention this one band from that era. I thought about them a minute ago when that was going down. They were called the Majora, and they were like a South End band, and they had the coolest sound. They had like that like Chiodo-y like post-hardcore sound, and no other band really has ever done that around here. And the singer was good. He could hit the high notes and shit. They were shreddy on the guitars. Frank Washington, excellent person. He played bass. I don't know. It was a cool band, but I definitely wanted to shout them out from that era because we did play a lot of shows with them.
They were a local band?
They were there. Like I said, they were like maybe they were South Side, but I always associated them with being like down this. I shouldn't give away locations.
They're gonna dox us.
down this way. But yeah, they were an awesome band. There was a lot of awesome bands, but like I think that maybe they weren't like good bands technically. They were just my friends, and we had fun jumping around. But yeah, that was like
That's
V1
cool.
of Hey Dude. V2 was a weird phase too because it was like we had gotten better at our instruments, and we'd actually had some good songs and recordings out, which we paid a lot of money for.
Who'd you record with?
We recorded with Alex Rexroth in Kennesaw, Georgia at Pendlewood Studios. And it was like one of those, I don't know how we got involved with it. Eric Sessions, our drummer. It was like some kind of contract scenario. Where
What record was this?
This was
the Hey Dude stuff?
Okay, so Alex was cool enough to work with us. We recorded 3 songs. Our final 3-song EP is Hey Dude, and then we recorded 7 songs as Old News in the same. It was two split sessions, but technically the same session.
Okay.
The first time we went to when we only recorded this song, apparently Britney, which was about some girls of the past and growing up and moving on and not feeling like shit at 19 years old. There's no reason to feel that way. And that was like the one. Like now, that's the one that people would want to hear. I guess that would be the one that people are always like, "Hey, play this song" or whatever. We went and recorded it with him, and it was cool. He took our band and he kind of didn't just record what we had in our heads, but he added stuff to it and was like, "How about this?" and "How about So he was kind of helping us structure a little better. And then we got it back and it was it was cool, but it had all these weird synths and shit that it just wasn't I wasn't feeling. We loved it. We released it. It sounded cool. It was good, but it was just I don't know. I wasn't trying to have that power pop
right
keyboard sound.
Right.
And then we re-recorded the song without all. We didn't re-record it. We just told him to took this synth out, and he did. And we re-released it, and yeah.
Sometimes less is more,
Yeah, it was cool. It was just I don't know. It was too synthy and I don't know, not bad ways, but.
Yeah. So, in my research, I did research.
He's a researcher.
I'm
surprised you don't have your notebook. Sometimes you have a notebook. You're
I've been trying to do the
what do you know?
I've been trying to do the Terry Gross style research, where she looks up everything the night before, and
that way it's fresh.
Yeah,
it's not like that Nardwuar shit or however you say the guy's name, where he digs really, really deeply.
Oh yeah, I saw the one where he when Slipknot was still kind of. They no one knew who they were, and he was talking about one of the guys, this one guy, he was in this band. Do you guys know him? And the guy, it was that guy, and he just walked away.
The aura was still there, the mystery.
Yeah,
he already knew everything.
Yeah, he knew everything. He's how the fuck does this guy know?
Yeah. Well, there's a video of it's titled Hey Dude's Last Show, and it's at what's that place called? It's Atlas now.
Oh,
it was the sound hole, I imagine.
Yeah, the sound hole.
Yeah.
So I think that was so I can't remember, dude. I don't remember if we actually played that. I remember.
Well, there's video evidence of you guys playing at the sound hole.
We did play. I remember playing outside there multiple times.
And it said last Hey Dude show.
It might have been Hey Dude. Fuck, I can't remember. So the sound hole. That was an awesome time, but it was a really weird venue. I love Robert and Shelley, the people who ran it, but there was strict no moshing policy, and they would have the most I don't know, I don't want to make fun of them, but they were very nu metal-y, not in a bad way, but back in the day we used to talk shit about nu metal, and then it kind of got cool. They were security basically, and they would just stand there in the middle of that tiny little room.
That's I was gonna say
right in front of where the bar is. They're used that used to be
that's crazy to think about, because I've never went when it was sound hole because I was too young and I wasn't going to shows.
The sound
yet.
hole was excellent though. There was
I've heard
lot of
stories,
cool
and we played there once when it was Atlas because they did shows for a little while.
And that was it.
It was
not our fault.
It was not our
There's
fault.
a nice stage back there now. They could totally host shows, but there's just not the right crowd.
Acoustic stuff,
they do
right?
bar bands. JP Taylor was there
I've seen
last
JP
week.
out there a bunch. I've seen Brian out there a bunch.
If you're acoustic or just a
That's the heart and soul of the Myrtle Beach scene. Those dudes have been around for a long time.
Yeah,
Brian, then we played so many shows with him back in the day. He would just pop up, and just doing a set and.
Yeah, Brian, JP. They also played They also played that benefit show last year. What are they? I'm blanking on the name.
Wicked Gift.
Not Wicked Gift, but
Phil
them
Fox has been
too.
around for a long time.
But Sweet Sweet, the folksy kind of acoustic duo. They're always doing stuff. But the working bands.
So the transition into old news. What kind of
So basically, there was a lot of bands kind of doing that, darker, not grungier, but I was really fucking with bands like Tiger's Jaw, Balance and Composure, Citizen, stuff like that. Turnover, especially their first EP before they kind of went watery and pedalboardy before peripheral vision. But like we wanted to go that sound. Story So Far, you know, like the that era of pop punk, like kind of darker and not like breakdowns in fucking drop
More
C
like
or whatever.
moody.
Yeah, a little more
Yeah.
moody, a little more raw vocals. What one big thing is we started tuning to C. We would tune drop D, but we tuned half a step down, and that really helped Jake's vocals match up with the sound. So CGCF80, I guess sharp or flat or whatever. I don't know. Half a step down, drop D is what we played in.
Okay.
That's C
Top
sharp.
top C was
Yeah.
C sharp.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, when that was a big switch up for our band because, I mean, obviously the strings were a little heavier, but I mean, we played slower riffs. I wasn't really worried about like playing fast octave chords and trying to sound like Newfound Glory and 4 Year Strong and Set Your Goals and shit. I was more worried about trying to lay like a thick sound underneath so Jake could fucking scream at people. And that was when we really started having like people sing our lyrics back at us and like scream and like see that face and, you know, be it like 10 people piling on, but like, you know, little pile-ons and shit.
What was that like the first time you saw that?
Oh, it's such a cool feeling. It's such a cool feeling.
The first time I remember that happened for Windley was like we were out of town and there were people in not Myrtle Beach doing that to us.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's wild, right?
I was like, are you serious? Like we were playing at like a house in Georgia and it happened. It's just a crazy feeling.
House shows are always always usually a good time if they go through like usually, you know, some questions with house shows like whether it's gonna get called, the cops will get called, or
it's
the mom's gonna show up and be like, oh wow, you.
It's just really affirming. And, you know, I just wanted to, you know.
No, it feels so. It's literally like why you play music because you want people to feel your shit.
Gotta,
and like,
yeah, and you know it happens on a regular basis now, but the first time it happened, it was just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's
worked.
such a cool feeling. It took a while for us to get that.
Yeah.
Like for Hey Dude, we eventually got there and people were like singing the words and shit, and then it got to a point where we became old news because we played like every 2 weeks we would play somewhere. There was this one dude that came around for a while. His name was Nick, and he was doing shows at this place called Caribbean Bar and Grill. It was like, not a great place. The sound was awful, but it was basically right across from the Circle K beside Bumstead's in Myrtle Beach. It was like kind of where that $5 Emporium or whatever the fuck it
Jake
is.
mentioned the $5 Emporium.
Yeah.
on his first episode.
It was such a weird situation.
Yeah.
The dude, like he was not really in the scene, but like he was still trying to like fuck with us, and like we would bring kids out and stuff. But that was just a brief period of time. That was post really Sound Hole, or it was pre-Sound Hole, post Crazy J's Basement, which was another thing I haven't mentioned. That was a pretty epic place. There's so many places that like we probably don't have so much time to talk about, but I can't not mention that place because I'm jumping around chronologically, but like Crazy J's was insane. Like some great bands played there. We opened for Wheatus there. Michael Wood put that on for us.
I've heard
Wheatus.
he mentioned
Wheatus.
mentioned
Now
that.
they're huge with, I mean, they were bigger then with Teenage Dirtbag, but I mean, obviously that song's blown up a lot over the last 5-10 years. They had so much fucking gear. They were just bringing, you had to go downstairs.
Yeah.
It was just like gear for days, and they sounded great. It was awesome.
We had the second era of that particular spot when Good Day Cafe was there, and then
I remember seeing Dogleg there, and I fucked with that band hard, and they got
canceled.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know why, but
probably the same reason, you know.
I don't know. Did we play that show?
we got asked to. Dirty Oles played it.
I
I stayed home. Garrett went.
That was I really liked that band at the time.
Sakala played it, or turned for it, or I don't know.
Quinn was there.
Quinn played
somehow.
They played a very long
I don't even
set.
know
from
who
what I
Dogleg
heard.
is.
Quinn is amazing. by
I
the way.
did.
gotta
I
mention him.
also liked Dogleg. We got asked to play it for whatever
They're
reason.
pretty
We
punk.
couldn't.
I mean, they were pretty punk.
I liked them a lot.
He played a random guitar. It was like maybe like a Marauder or something like that. It was like a weird like Gibson off model.
There was a
A
video.
Sonex maybe.
There was a video. I don't know which member got canceled.
I don't either. I
But-
had to stop listening to them because of
Tugging
them.
the
I
collar
didn't
over
even
there.
understand.
There was a
cares?
video of.
I've never heard of this band.
They were fantastic musically.
They were great, but there was a video of them, and the fucking guitarist or singer was doing a fucking cartwheel and playing at the same time.
Oh,
And
like
I
Fergie.
like Fergie. Yeah, like
Fergie doing Welcome to the Jumper.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like that. It was exactly the same thing, and it was like a DIY band in someone's basement, and the dude was doing a fucking cartwheel
so fucking fast
and
on the
like
guitar.
playing the. I don't know if he was doing tappy shit or if he was doing chords.
It was just like
it was
fast
really
tremolo
fast.
picking.
It was, I don't know. Yeah, but
He had a sweet Drive Like Jehu shirt on, so I was like, that's a cool band.
that's cool.
Yeah, but that's I'm bringing that up because I remember that iteration of Good Sun Cafe.
Good Day Cafe.
Good Day Cafe. Had pretty good food there.
Yeah, I would go there like every week just because I liked the owner that ran it. Like, he was such a nice guy, and he was really into what me or anyone else that wanted to do shit there was doing.
Yeah.
And he never wanted any money from
He was the canceled guy in Dogleg.
Damn.
That's why it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
When he reopened in Surfside, and then
He did that thing when he was in Dogleg.
yeah, and then he got canceled because
Yeah.
he joined Dogleg
He joined
to try
Dogleg.
to try to.
Speaking of Surfside, there's been some cool. I know I've seen you book shows at Island Bar before, but I mean there was a bunch of cool bands like Forever Came Calling and Handguns. They're both like mid-tier pop punk bands, but they're awesome. Some of my favorite bands of all time. They played there.
I know the Queers played there, and I know that Michael Graves played there.
Yeah,
Were
the
there
punk was
twice.
big back in the
Yeah.
day. A lot of the old school punk dudes.
I know that it was because of what's the guy? Fletcher was the guy that booked
Fletch.
there,
Mm-hmm.
which I think he passed away too.
He did. Oh my God, I got a couple quick things about him. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, because one time I booked a show there somehow. Like I didn't really recall like booking it.
Yeah.
Somehow I ended up booking a show that wasn't booked at all. And he called me the day of. He's like, "Did you book a show here?" He's like, "I'm gonna let this happen." And he let it happen and stuff. But like, I don't know how it happened. But it was that band Count the Hours, which they were like I think it was Count the Hours. They were like a hardcore pop punk band, like emo, easy core ish. But anyway, I remember they had a beef with the Sound Hole one time, and pretty much like all the local bands like. I don't remember what happened. There was like a show there, like an all-day show, and he like pulled the plug pretty early in. And
Damn.
He like told everybody that they're going to be salt and fries or shit. He basically called everybody a loser, and the whole scene turned on him.
Damn.
But I mean, I've seen him a couple times after that, like in the bar working and shit. And he's always been really nice to me because I've known him from back in the day. But shouts to Island Bar. They had some cool shows there.
Yeah.
When Devin and I imagine it was around the same time when we started going to shows regularly, around 2013. 2014
13 or 14, yeah.
But I remember at the time getting more interested in what was going on. I remember looking at Bandcamp, and I remember one record called Ghost Stories, and I was like, this is a very polished record. And a lot of people that I've talked to, because I knew Costin when I started going to shows, and other people at the time always talked about the old news, and so that was the record you recorded in Atlanta.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was basic. Remember how I told you we recorded the Hey Dude single,
right.
and then went back on the drive home. Literally on the drive home. That it might have not have been then. We were coming south because I remember being on that bridge between here and Charleston. So it might have not have been Atlanta because we would have went there. Anyway, we were coming south, and on the drive home one time, I remember that's when we decided somebody said that we were old news, so we were like, okay, I guess we are. Then we'll just change our name and the sound and all that. And then when we went back, like I said, we spent a lot of money on that. I mean, we maybe $5,000, $6,000, something like that. I know number dropping is not good, but it was polished. It sounded really well.
Yeah.
The dude, I mean, he had like a really nice setup. I think I recorded through like a PRS, like split coil, like. Nice, cool, like McCartney or whatever the fuck they're called.
Not the Jackson amp.
I was gonna say, did you still use the Jackson
He had a sweet
amp?
like Egnator style amp, like one of the little small 5 watts where you could blend the two tubes, like the British tubes and it was I remember using that amp to record most of the Hey Dude stuff, but I believe he had a different amp for whenever we went back for the old news. Maybe like I don't remember what it was. It was a small fucking, like a little small, like 5-watter that you get real hot and it sounds really nice. He had that shit like two doors down in like his house with like a closet, but it was all wire. It was a really sick studio, and he literally let us sleep in the studio for like a week.
That's really cool.
Yeah. He's like, just don't fuck with me in my house. And he's like, Alex, we need the Wi-Fi code.
I had a bad dream. Can I sleep in your bed?
So what was going on with the band as far as that time period with old news? I mean, what,
like 2000?
Were you touring more, or were you?
We legitimately did not tour
No.
much at all. We did like 2 small like runs. I think the furthest we really played was like Virginia. You know what I mean? We didn't really like branch. We played like 100 Myrtle Beach shows, but like outside of Myrtle Beach, we might have played like 20 shows. So it was like that was kind of like our you know, that's why we didn't really want to do it as a band anymore, because we needed to take that step if we were gonna like do anything with it, and we just weren't. We all had lives and girlfriends and shit and kids, starting to have kids and stuff. So everybody was just like, we ain't really got time for this anymore.
It sounds like y'all had a decent amount of what are now considered like bigger bands like coming through close to the region that y'all got to be with.
Michael Wood booked the Menzingers at the clubhouse in Myrtle Beach, and we played with them, and Adam Hendricks could not play his fucking bass guitar with us that night because he had to work at Food Lion. He had to go to his shift, and we did not have a bass player that night. We still
You could have called me.
We still, this was like 2008 or 9. I swear I can't find any existence of the show, but
That's
I
crazy.
swear we played with the Menzingers. I mean, we like Weedus, which is, you know, that's a cool one. The Wonder Years, you know, a bunch of cooler bands.
That's insane to think about.
They weren't like huge then, you know what I mean?
No, but like it's just crazy to think about. Like, you know, you never know who's gonna be in your town and what's gonna happen to them later on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good bands from here that like how 100th kind of like blew up with their hardcore stuff, and then they changed their sound. Oh God, speaking of 100th, I'm completely missing out on the Hazmat, which was an awesome venue. There was 3 iterations of that.
I was gonna say, I've heard about the Hazmat.
On the second iteration, we played with 100th, and it was a fucking wild show. There were so many people there. It was like the coolest show ever because like there were so many people there, mainly to see them, but like they were all there going hard for us too, so it was fun, you know what I mean? But I don't want to let
my brother talks about, he told me, he's like, yeah man, 100th played in my high school one time, like in the gym, like during school. I was like, how the fuck does that happen?
I do recall them playing at the church in Carolina Forest. It's about halfway down. I think they played it for one of our friends that died. A lot of people were closer with him than I was, but I mean, I would still consider him a friend. You know, he was a really nice dude, and he died. And then they put on like a benefit show. But they probably played in high school as well. But I do remember them playing in a gymnasium in a church. It was awesome.
That's wild.
It was crazy. I was going in. I was like, I wonder if people are gonna mosh this at church. Yep, they were moshing hard.
And they got to record with Bill Stevenson from the Descendants.
Yeah. But then 100th was they were a hardcore band. I remember when they first like came back around, they were like very secretive with their sound. They would like play like a video, like feedback and a heavy guitar, and then right as he like, you know, the vocals were gonna come in, they just cut them off, and nobody knew what they were gonna sound like.
Yeah.
And then they played a show at the Hazmat, their first show as 100th, and I think Classic Struggle played at Brick House the same night.
Yeah.
So it was like I remember going from that show to that show. But anyway, it was cool because they came back as a hardcore band, and then I think they released maybe 3 or 4 albums, and then they went to like a very shoegazy sound, like what you would like how Title Fight did, or like any of those bands, and then they went to a straight up like synthwave kind of sound. I don't know. It's very, very different. It was awesome. And now the stuff that I heard they just put it out. It's really ready, like radio rock, kind of like rock and roll, indie, cool shit. But I can't not mention 100th. They're such a solid band. And Hazmat, I gotta give that a shout.
Yeah. So Old News wraps up. What were you doing around that time? After?
Having a girlfriend and like trying to do like life and stuff. And I had my first kid in 2015, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna still try to go to shows and stuff. That's when I started really doing like photos and photography and stuff. And then that got overwhelming too. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna take pictures for a couple years, do some media. I went to Georgetown Technical College for like associate degree in graphic design or whatever, just to learn some stuff. And so I was really focused on like trying to work with bands and do projects like Nick and Kyle. I like did a lot of work with them, like for graphics and stuff. Jimmy, Quinn, Costin, a lot of flyers, shit like that. I was the guy for a while for that, and then I kind of got bored with that, so I just kind of stopped doing it. It wasn't worth like a $50 or whatever, or a couple free beers. I mean, it technically was. I should have and would have done it, just out of the goodness of my heart. But like, I don't know, I didn't have time. Same with the photos. Like, I mean, I did photos for like several years.
I've got some Bradley Benson photos on my Facebook page.
I found like
from long ago.
So Scott Smallin was like an OG scene guy.
Yeah.
He's an amazing photographer, and he had this style back in the day that was like with the lights trailing and shit, and I was obsessed with it, and that's like what I wanted to do, just to do that weird style. It's a popular style, but you know, I wanted to get really good at that, and then I did it like twice, and people were like, "Oh, come to the shows and bring your camera. Can you bring?" And I just told everybody I sold my equipment. I still have it all. I didn't sell anything, but
Now that's on the air.
yeah, whatever. Yeah, I didn't sell any of my equipment, guys. I just don't have that passion anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, again, the 2 iterations of the bands. I mean, that's been brought up a lot to me over the years.
And it seems like y'all, like, when you think of it, y'all did quite a bit.
I felt like we got better, you know.
Yeah.
Because we maybe did like 20 songs total between 2 bands in like 7 years. You know, that's not a lot. 8 years, whatever it was. But we spent 2 years fucking paying off the fucking 10 that we did in Atlanta. And they were the best things I think we've ever. That's the thing I'm most proud of, you know. But specifically the old news songs, like the old news songs were like where I felt like we really found our sound or whatever, and like had the most fun playing music. Yeah. Hey Dude was fun, but it was just like a little sloppy, you know. It wasn't as tight and like.
And you were doing guitar and backup vocals.
Yeah, I played guitar.
An hour
and
into this, by the way.
So we went through a weird phase with Hey Dude where Adam moved and came back. And whenever he moved, we got a temporary bass player, Little Adam. He does raps with Jake sometimes. Awesome dude. He's not Little Adam anymore. He's like in his fucking 30s now. But anyway, he was our bass player for a while. And whenever Adam came back, we didn't want to like kick Little Adam out of the band. So we had co-vocalists. So we had like 2 iterations of Hey Dude kind of too. So it was like the same band. We just added a different person and then added the original person that was on this instrument as a dual vocalist for whatever reason. But that what I'm getting at, that came back into play with Old News. Adam was back on the bass guitar, not Little Adam. And we all sang a good bit. I mean, there's songs where Adam sang, like him and Jake were almost like co-vocalists in the band. And I sang pretty much all like the high harmonies and stuff. And then there was one song on the EP the Ghost Stories EP where it was me and Adam singing, and then Jake just the chorus pretty much, and then the end part where he's like throwing his fucking, you know, screaming his lungs out and shit. But so we all had a fair amount of singing. Yeah. I don't know why, but it was it was fun. We needed one more song in the studio, so we like wrote it like in Atlanta, and that was the one that I ended up singing the most on.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was fun.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What do you think works and doesn't work with the scene currently?
With the scene currently? So obviously I try to go as much as I can. I have kids, so it's sometimes challenging to get out to all the shows. I can confidently say, like, I've thought about it so much that, like, back in the day there was more people at shows. I don't think there was. I think now there's more people at shows now than there were back then. And maybe I'm being just like, you know, trying to think like, oh, I got an adult mind now, I can count better or whatever. I don't know. But like, I swear that one show at Fresh Brewed last year, maybe the beginning of last year, where there was like 150 people there, it was like that show, and then after that there was the gym show, there was like 200 something people there. It was just fucking snowballing, more and more people. I was like, what the fuck? And I noticed there's all these young kids. What works is that there's enough shows and enough variety of music for people to enjoy, and it's always fucking cheap. And Arcadia and Fresh Brewed and Brick House are always super accommodating, especially to the all ages. I know Brick House is a little different.
We have to push back a little bit, but like the guys that run it don't care.
It's a bar.
It's the bar. The bar is the ones that are like, you can't do this.
The venues are perfect.
Yeah.
And if there's an issue, like I would say, there's not enough bands. There's a lot of bands coming up. There's a lot of, you know, there's like that punk scene I've noticed, that the younger kids. I'm fucking impressed by it. I'm intrigued. Dude, that's cool.
Well,
that's cool.
we had our show on the 19th or 18th or whatever it was at Fresh Brewed with the Groove and 3 bands that had never been to Myrtle. We had like over 100 people there. Then there was a different show at DeVille the next night that we did not book.
Right.
That
IED
also
and,
had like a bunch of people at that were
Corrupt
not at the
Faith.
show. Yeah, Corrupt Faith, IED, which was a new band. IED was pretty sick, honestly.
I've listened to their EP. Or whatever.
I saw
love that
them
style
and I
of
was
music.
like,
I always have,
this is
so I'm
aw-
glad
this is
that
pretty
stuff's coming
sick.
back around.
Rad.
And then the new iteration of like the Death Tax Band, which has a really long name that I'm blanking on, As the Moon Turns Red, which reminds me of that balloon shot video when they're going to the record exec and they have that band called When the Blood Comes Home. That's all I can think of every time. But they're called When the Moon Turns Red.
John LaFront. What was the guy's name?
Is that
Yeah.
the megaphone vocals?
Yeah, dude has a megaphone.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Mike Patton does that.
I saw a random that the Matt Hughes skate park show where people were like jumping around.
Yeah, Simon and
whenever
Death
I
Tax
saw
also
that,
booked
I was
that.
kind of blown away that I'm like I'm an ideal person to market to, and I had no fucking clue about it at all. I never saw a flyer. I was like, I'm getting old.
Apparently there were people of that too, and like that's awesome that there are new people booking shit.
I love it.
And we have to like encourage people. It's like we're doing the Myrtle Beach shows thing, but like y'all still should do your own shit. Like we're just doing this so because we don't want to book on top of
I love the
us
collective.
3 or 4, but
Yeah.
like y'all should still do your own shit outside of that. Definitely.
People just need to start more bands. I would say that like if there is a problem, like
Yeah.
if you got more bands, they can more word of mouth. I mean, it's at least 4 or 5 more people are going to be at the show if they're in the band.
Yeah. It only helps everybody.
How would you find these people to start a band?
Yeah,
Devin,
Oh, how would you find these people?
how would you find
What if there was like a
people?
convenient like spreadsheet or something?
What's very funny that you should ask me.
Yeah.
So if you go to @Myrtle Beach Shows on Instagram.com, and we all occasionally will share this from time to time. We should share it a lot more. But you can find in our links, you can go to the links on the profile page, and there is a Google Drive spreadsheet where you can fill it out, and your name will be put on a spreadsheet with other people that are also trying to start bands.
eager
People that are trying to start some fucking bands, and you can be one of them, and you can look through that list, find somebody and say, hey,
Shoot them a text.
I want to rock
Email.
out. I want to.
Send them an email.
You just send them a message, say, hey, let's throw down, and they will know what that means.
Oh.
Well, hey, Bradley, thank you for your service.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out too.
I'm glad to be
hearing,
here.
hearing about this
And
stuff.
thank you for always supporting
always coming out.
every
dude.
band.
I'm
Yeah.
37 and I have 2 children.
And you come out to shows.
Yes.
I support them pretty much full time. I have a good group of friends. So I try to get out to shows as much as I can, and I appreciate you guys for doing shows, being an active band that's been around for a decade now. You guys.
Oh,
have been
I don't
around
want to
for a
talk
while.
about that.
I appreciate the longevity and always putting out good music. Turner Forte, the great people. Saw them yesterday. I was in for a little.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't
How was
even-
the Your Spirit Dies show?
Oh, it was fucking incredible. I love that band.
And the episode is officially dated.
It's
yeah.
dated as hell.
I didn't. I'm dated as hell. But yeah, it was good. But yeah, I saw the Turner Forte boys yesterday.
Yeah, I know that they're back at it doing stuff again, so
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Oh no!
I heard a bunch of not a
No, I'm
bunch.
kidding.
I heard a few songs yesterday, and the single that's coming out in a couple weeks is going to be incredible.
I got a sneak peek also.
Yeah,
I got the
it
whole
sounds-
LP in my messages.
Ooh, ooh.
I'm a VIP as a
Come on, Jimmy. I thought
as
we'd
a
known
as
each
a
other for
as a
long time,
former fill-in
out by
member.
now.
I
I've
guess
got
you
the
were a member, weren't you?
as a former fill-in member. I've got the exclusive sneak peek.
All right. Well, thanks again, Bradley,
Yeah,
for
man.
sharing and hanging
Do I need to
out.
plug anything?
And,
I don't have anything.
Well,
to
I mean,
plug.
If you got
we're-
anything to plug,
Yeah,
Go to the Winley show coming up.
That's probably already
Hymns of
done.
Blasphemy has a show in Wilmington and
Probably
Reggie's.
already happened.
Yeah.
How great were those shows?
Those
though,
are great
Bradley? Those
shows.
were great
Thank you.
shows. There was
Yeah.
7,000 people at Fresh Brew Coffee House. It was crazy.
7,000 Windley Maniacs.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, but if you want to go to Myrtle Beach shows in Myrtle Beach, there's a lot of shows in Myrtle Beach, but
Lots
nothing
of
like
them.
a Myrtle Beach show. You got to go to @Myrtle Beach. Is it Myrtle Beach shows or MB show?
At Myrtle Beach Shows.
Instagram is the best place, right?
you
Yeah,
gotta go
Instagram's
there,
good right
look it
now.
up. There's all sorts of stuff. Go to a show And if you want to keep up with the world of Windley, you got to follow at Windley_band on all the socials because.
Also, we're on Blue Sky now. It's at Windley.
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky is the new one.
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky is the new one. It's like
Sky.
I was able to just get Windley.
Wow.
I got on the ground floor, dude.
It's like Windley.bsky.social or something like that.
Something like that. It's weird.
It looks like Twitter. It works like
I don't
Twitter.
know. It'll be on our
Probably a
link
lot
tree
less
or
on
whatever. It's better than Twitter right now, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Well-
anyway, I'm not going to get in the weeds on that. But, you know.
Sorry for dating everything.
No, it's fine. You know, just don't do it again.
Next
It's
time you-
January 26th.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess it is, yeah.
Maybe.
It's the 1 year anniversary of the EP release show.
Well, how about that?
How about that?
Well, let's get out of here.
Listen to
Goodbye.
the album.
Goodbye. Goodbye.